Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. It is my afternoon, and today's story that I'm going to be telling is the Teak-Wood Shrine by Farnsworth Wright. I'm really excited about the story. I do hope you enjoy it. So, this story is about a teakwood shrine. So, it is a small box. It does have an idol on top of it with red ruby eyes. So, it is really pretty cool looking. And the story begins with there is a woman and she's standing on a bridge and she is going to throw this teakwood shrine into the water below so that no one can ever see the shrine again. Like no one will find it. It will be at the very bottom of the river. As she's standing on the bridge, a man approaches her and he sees this box in her hands. And he's inquisitive and says, well, I want to take that box from you. I'll give you money. $10,000, $100,000. She's like, no, no money in the world. I'm not giving you this box. This box is very dangerous because the people who have looked into it have died, except for her and a holy man of India. Um, she does tell him that she is also dying because of looking into the box. And she explained to him, if you press the ruby red eyes, then there is a door and it opens and shuts, and that's where you'll see the shrine devil. So no, she's not going to give him that box. And he's begging, and she said no. Then she decides to tell him the story of the box. So the box was in India. A holy man of India had the box originally. There was a Christian bishop who was there who had helped the holy man. And since he helped the holy man, wanted to do something nice for the bishop. Well, the bishop decided he really liked that teakwood shrine that the holy man had, and he really wanted it. The holy man was like, no, I'm not going to give you that teakwood. He was like, I did you a huge favor. Like, I really helped you out, and you know this. So that is what I really want. And so the holy man told him, that is not a good idea. And the bishop was like, this is what I'll do. I will pray over the shrine devil and show you how I will stop the pagan charms to this box. And then the holy man of India tells him it would take a potent spell to chain that fat devil to the teakwood box. And this is what he tells the bishop. He said, so do not push the little jewel that will open the box. And then the bishop jokingly says to him, I will open it now. And the holy man said, I know you're joking. And if you were not joking, I would rather kill you than to have you go through the misery of which you cannot even dream from looking into this box. But of course, the bishop was joking. So after the holy man tells him that, he promised. He said, I promise, I will never open this box. And then the holy man agreed to go ahead and give him the box. I don't know about you, but someone telling me that they would rather kill me than to let me take a box to have the misery of which I could not even dream. Like, I don't know. I don't know. That right there. I don't know. I don't think the bishop should have taken the box. Okay, let's get back in the story. I'm sorry. That was just crazy right there. Okay, so the bishop promised he is not going to open the box. So the bishop takes the box home, and the teakwood devil smiled at him from behind the big Bible in his study. And the teakwood devil brought him no harm because he didn't press the ruby button that opens the sliding door. So the bishop was having no problems with the box. Well, the bishop decided to have guests over. When he had guests over, they, of course, seen the shrine, seen the teak box, and the teakwood shrine. And so he decided to tell them the story of this shrine. And there was one person that decided to examine the box, and his name was McRae. So McRae has the box in his hand, and he's examining it, and he accidentally presses the ruby, and the box opens, and then it slides shut. At that moment, this man's face, he turns ghastly pale, and then he starts to have a laugh that is just unhuman. It's not right. It seems like they've decided he has turned into a maniac. Um, so this happens. And so then the bishop runs over and just takes the box from McRae. Remember, he knows the story. He just told him the story. He's like, we will never open the box. This guy is looking at it. He pushes the button. He opens the box. Bishop rips it out of his hands. When the bishop does that, he accidentally presses the ruby on the box as well. Oh, so then he looks into it, the box opens and shuts, and then he doesn't even realize what he had seen. He looked into the box and thought, there's nothing here. But McRae had gone mad from terror. So just moments ago, the other guy had gone mad. The bishop looks into the box and he doesn't even realize what he'd seen. And then his face went white. And so he did see into the box. He did see something he was not supposed to see. It took a minute for him, and then the bishop fell to his knees and he just started praying. So McRae ran off, and the group went looking for him because, like I said, he's gone mad. Well, they find him in his home, dead, and he was tightly gripping a revolver in his hand. So that's what happened to McRae, all because of this box. And then a week later, it was said that the bishop had died from delirium. So after he realized what he had seen in the box, he was just praying and praying and praying. And then a week later, he passed on from delirium. Okay, so we've decided like this is not a good thing. This box is obviously very, very evil. Okay, so a native servant that worked for the bishop took the box. And he knew what had just happened. He was there. He knew about McRae. He knew about the bishop. Of course, he heard the story of how the holy man told them never to open the box. So he decided he'd be smart about it. So he went and took 10 rupees to a seer. And he had the seer put a spell to bind the Teak-Wood devil. So he decided that he would, bind it. So after he took the box from the bishop's home, because, they had all that death going on, he takes the box, he goes to see her, he has her put a spell on the box so no one can be harmed. Well, then he decides to go ahead and flee to Singapore. So he goes there and he decides he's going to try to sell the box because, it has ruby eyes and stuff. So he tries to sell the box, and all the shopkeepers he takes it to, they're like, oh, those gems aren't worth anything. They aren't worth anything. I'm not going to give you any money for it. And he is not happy with that. Like, he wanted to get some money on this box. Well, he decided he'll go ahead and dig the rubies out. He's going to dig the rubies out of the box, out of the idol. So puts the box between his legs. He gets something to try and pry the rubies out. When he does this, he had accidentally pressed the button. So the box slid open and slid shut. Now, when he looked in the box, he didn't understand what he had seen. And it was because that spell, remember, he had went and had a spell to bind the tiki devil in the box. So he didn't understand what he'd seen. So the box shut. Well, it opened the once. He didn't understand it. So he decided to push the button again. I know, right? Like, I don't know, maybe it's just some pull from the box, how these people push the button. Anyway, so he decides to push the button again. When he pushed the button the second time and it opened and he looked into the box, now he knew. Now he knew why McRae took his life and why the bishop prayed for death. Now he knew. So that spell, the first time it opened, had kept anything bad from happening to him. But he decided to press that button again. So now he knew. So he decided he needed to go throw it into the sea. So he went over, they had big ships and stuff right off the sea there. So he went over there and he was going to throw the box into the sea because he knew now. He knew what was going on. While he was down there, the jewels that were the eyes of the teakwood image, they threw out a strange light. And as he got closer to the water, they threw out the strange light, and an American that was boarding the ship saw this and wondered what this guy was getting ready to do. It looked like he was going to throw it. So he whistled. He makes a loud whistle and he runs over to the man and he wanted to see what he had. So he runs up to him and is like, "What do you got in your hands? What is that?" And he thought this was just the coolest thing ever. So he takes a look at it, and then that man decides to tell him the story, the history, and told the American the history of this box. And the American is like, "Oh my goodness, I want the box." He's like, "No, but I just told you the history." And the American, he just took the box out of his hand. And then he just stuffed a lot of cash in this guy's hand. And then he runs off. He was going to board the ship. The ship's getting ready to leave. So he takes the box from this man's hand, shoves money in his hand, and then runs off. Well, the guy with the money is screaming at him, "No, no, you cannot take the box," you know. And so the American gets on board, and then they pull up the plank, so you can't get onto the ship. So the guy chasing after him could not get to him. So this American, he runs onto the ship, and he went into his room. Okay, so he has the box. He gave the guy money. Remember, that's what he wanted at first, but he's looked into the box, so that's not a good thing. So when the American comes out of his room, he notices out on the deck that there is commotion out over on the dock. And so he goes to look overboard or over onto the dock to see what's going on. And that man that he had given the money to, yeah, he had jumped into the sea. He just jumped into the sea. So everybody aboard was just looking down on the docks. That guy just, from what he'd seen in the box, obviously, that was his decision. So he jumped into the sea. So now the American now has the box. Now the American was this woman. So the woman standing on the bridge, she's the one telling the story. So that was her boss. So the American was the woman's late boss who told her the story of the shrine. Okay. So he told her the story of the shrine when he got off the ship, and then he told her the story of the shrine again 2 months ago. And when he told her the story of the shrine 2 months ago, um, he had madness gleaming from his eyes and begged her to destroy it. He told her to throw it into the river where no one could get to it, where it could never hurt, harm, kill anybody ever again. Um, and so this is what, her boss had told her. And she was telling this guy, remember, because the story starts off where there's that guy on the right beside her on the bridge. And she's like, "So I can tell you this because you were his friend, but the Teak-Wood devil had killed him." And the thing was, so the American had had that box for years, and he did not believe the story. So he eventually decided to he was examining the box, I guess you could say. And when he accidentally pushed in one of the eyes on the ruby red eye, the box opened for him and shut. And he was just so excited that he figured out how to open the box. So he never attempted to open the box, but now he has opened the box. So he looked into the box. He was excited. He pushed it again. Yes, so he had opened the box. Well, so the woman standing out on the bridge, they heard a loud shot come from his room. So she, of course, runs into his room, finds him laying dead on the floor, and it was because of that box, and she knew it. And he had just told her the story of the box and what he did to open it, and so I think it was within a week of that, she found him in the room, so she took the box. Because remember, she promised him she would destroy it. So she took the box and she went out to this bridge. Now, after she did take the box from him, she did pray and pray and pray, and then she went ahead and pushed the ruby. When she did that, of course, she's seen into the box. And the only reason right now she is still alive is because she had prayed before she actually opened the box, but she knew that she was dying, um, and that it wasn't going to be long. So she goes out to the bridge, deciding to get rid of the box once and for all. So she tells the man that's standing there with her the story about this box. And then after telling him all this, he just took it. He just took the box out of her hand. And then she's screaming at him to stop. Please don't. But did this man listen? Like, do we think this man listened? Okay, so he didn't. Spoiler alert, he didn't listen. So he takes the box from her, he pushes the ruby, it opens, he looks in it, and then it shuts. Now they're both on the bridge, and then this is happening. She's screaming at him to give the box back. And then there are men at the end of this bridge. So then she starts screaming, "Help! Help!" to the men at the end of the bridge. So she's screaming. The men run over to where she and that man were at, and she was screaming because that man, after looking into the box, jumped off the bridge with the box. And he was gone, and the Teak-Wood devil was gone too. So the men seen all this happen. They ran over to her. They couldn't save the guy who jumped off, um, and the box was gone. And of course, she was really happy that the box was gone. So then she told the men at that point to take her away to a hospital or asylum for the insane. To her, it did not matter, for her days were numbered. And nothing mattered more to her. Nothing mattered anymore at all because the curse of the Teak-Wood devil had ended. So nobody else would be touched by this curse. And that is the end of this story. So I don't know what it is about, the alluring, don't touch it, don't open it. Like, there are some people that you say, don't do this. And what's crazy is it seems like everybody in the story was told don't, and then was told why they shouldn't. So they did it anyway. And I don't know, it's just mind blowing. And like, why did she do it? Like, she knew what happened to her boss. Her boss had told her everything that happened to everybody else, and then she prayed. And I don't know, maybe she prayed thinking it wouldn't affect her, but it did. Like, it didn't kill her right off, but she knew she was dying. But she also knew she had to get rid of the box. So I don't know. What are your thoughts on this story of the Teak-Wood the Teak-Wood Shrine housing the little devil inside of it? Um, I thought it was a really good story. I hope you did. I hope you did like it. Um, yeah. If you want, you can like, subscribe, or leave a comment below to let me know what you thought of the story. I thought that was pretty. I thought it was a pretty good little afternoon story. I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day, and I will be seeing you again later. Bye.